I stand before you to support this budget as a proud Guyanese woman, a very proud Guyanese woman, as a grandmother and a mother, and the member of my party, the People's Progressive Party, and successive People's Progressive Party civic governments. I am proud to see my country move from what it was in the 70s and 80s to what it is today. I am proud to have lived long enough to have seen what is happening to my country, to see the change, to see the transformation, to see the improvements in the quality of our people's lives. I don't want to say to the younger generation, you weren't there, you don't know. But you can't say ignorance is not an excuse for what happened to this country. The Honorable David Hinds, he's running away. Are we gone? Because I was going to refer to him. But I still will refer to him. I would like to have said it to his face. David Hinds knows what the 70s and 80s and 90s were like in this country. He knows what Buxton was like, with no water, no electricity, and latrines. He knows what the squatting areas were like, where people walked in mud up to their knees, with one latrine for 100 people, and no water. And I could go on. The poverty in this country was stark, palpable. We talk about kwashiorkor. Do we know what kwashiorkor is? We had kwashiorkor in this country. It is the worst form of malnutrition when children's belly gets swelled up and the hair get red. I can't claim that happened to me, right? But beriberi, all these things. 57% of the children of Guyana by 1985 were suffering from malnutrition and severe malnutrition. You didn't have to go into all the interior areas. Just go to Lodge, in them long yards. Go in the long yards, what some places like Alberton calls YY yards, and see children of Guyana of different ethnicity, but in Georgetown, in Lodge, was Afro-Guyanese children. Starving, no water. And I must be emotional about it. Because if you don't know where you come from, you don't know how far you reach, and you don't know where you're going. And so, Mr. Speaker, I have to make a public apology to my Speaker, Mr. Manzoor Nadir, who was the Minister of Trade and Industry and Commerce about 15 years ago, if I can't remember the exact date. But he had an expo, and he put up this huge panel drawing of what Sheriff Street would look like in X year. And there was all these tall buildings and lights and a wider road. And I thought to myself, what the devil is my karma doing? When will we reach that? We were in debt. We didn't have money. We didn't have what you call oil money. And I thought, why the devil is my minister and my colleague doing this? He's going to raise people's expectations. I confess publicly, I was cynical even then that I didn't know how long it would take us to get out of where we were. You know, I've listened, Mr. Speaker, to MPs speak here. And while some people can say they're new and they know, no excuse. I started as an MP in 1992, October, when you had some really powerful opposition MPs. Former President Hoyt, the famous Winston Murray, Derek Bernard, for example, Kenneth King, Derek Bernard, as I said, Kenneth King, Faith Harding, Deborah Bakker, just to name a few, who when they debated substance. They came with facts and dollars and challenged you. They did their homework. Not come here and tell some sad story all the time. I can tell you some really sad stories of the brutality I saw as the Minister of Home Affairs during the crime wave of 2002 to 2006. What happened to our children who were murdered by the criminals? in Lusignan and Bartica, and you come here now looking sanctimonious, as if, nothing could, butter melt in your mouth. Your mouth butter could melt in your mouth. Mr. Speaker, you are elected as MPs, you come from your parties, and we know you all lose seats, right? And I go back to Mr. MP David Hines. You see, I know him as David Osborne. I don't know him as David Hines. But what I do know is that David Osborne Hines, or Osborne/Hines, has not lived in this country from the 1980s. And so I understand that he's in what you call a time bubble or time warp. He's still living sometime in the 70s, right? He cannot appreciate that this country has changed, it has moved, it is transforming. How could you, when you're seeing the transformation going on, not feel proud as a Guyanese? Whether you like the PPP or don't like the PPP, you vote for APNU, you vote for WIN. How could you not be proud to be Guyanese at this time? To see what is going on. How could you be such, you're not blind, you're not visually impaired. You're not visually impaired. But you are intellectually and politically and academically, jaundiced. Absolutely jaundiced. I asked my friend, Dr. Frank, to help me if I'm using that word right. You are looking at the world through jaundiced eyes. You cannot see progress because then it would be to admit that things are happening in Guyana and things are changing and people's lives are improved. You can't say that because you opportunistically get votes on this story about, leading people to suffer. The level of opportunism at the political level, my colleagues, some of you young, you better learn quickly the responsibility of a politician and the duty you have to the people to be honest and to represent them honestly, not to come up here with anecdotes about granny so-and-so and auntie so-and-so when no one can prove anything and no one says you've had the permission of those people to use their names. The level of anecdotes is quite interesting. Mr. Speaker, as again I said, I wanted Mr. Osborne Hines to be here because I want to remind him and I want to say to you, go on YouTube. You're all much more technologically advanced. Go on YouTube and look for a film called Time and Terror that was put out by the Victor Hara Group and the WPA. It gives you a visual of what Guyana was like in the 1950s. So you don't have to believe me. Go do your work. It is a beautiful replication of what we suffered in this country. Then go to YouTube again and look up the Granada television movies, the documentaries on the making of a prime minister in 1968, and Burnham does it again in 1973. Go and look at those movies, documentaries, about how the Guyanese people were robbed of their right to choose their representatives. And it went on 68, 73, 1980, 1985, tried again for 1990, but 1992 is a change. And then we come to 2020, when again they tried it to thwart the will of the people. When we look at where Guyana was in 92, if I were in the PNC, which I will never be, I would have gone when they won in 2012, 2015, and said, mea culpa. We did all these terrible things for 28 years when we rigged the elections and put Guyana back from one of the third highest ranking countries in Latin America and Caribbean in 1964 to the lowest of the three countries in 1992. Haiti, Bolivia, and Guyana. What happened in those periods? When you destroy democracy, you take away the will of the people, you bring the working people down to zero. All the things we did to fight against that. Yeah, David was with us. But the problem with the WPA and people like the Honourable Member, when they joined the APNU, that was the death knell for WPA. Because they joined a coalition, and according to an Attorney General and the Commissioner of Commission of Inquiry report you read that pointed to who was responsible for the assassination of their leader. So, and I must say to you, Apnu, I feel awfully sorry for you. You know, why don't you just call yourself PNC? Because that's what you are.
That's correct.
I mean, seriously,
That's correct.
this we call masquerade. This masquerade, like you got in a mask costume. WPA, Guyana Action, what do you call it? Action Party, some Republican Party, some. What's the masquerade about? Just come clean. You're the People's National Congress. You don't have any of the WPA and stuff. You don't have any of them. Those parties are dead, dead, dead. And so, Mr. Speaker, I feel sorry for them because it's hard to see an old party go down the way it's going down. But Mr. Speaker, you know, Mr. Speaker, this is my 34th budget. And so some people may declare, well, it's time for she to go. She's been here too long. That's okay with me. That's okay with me. Because I am proud to be part of the process of the transformation of this country. Whether in this House, whether in the government or outside the government. Because, in all honesty, when I was 24 years old, my family said to me, what the devil are you doing going back to Guyana? There's nothing for you. And I came back by myself as a young woman. And my mother many times asked me, Gail, come back to Toronto. Come back, live with us. You could be a politician in Canada. And I didn't. Because in my heart, I knew Guyana could do better. I knew we could make Guyana shine. I knew it. But it was a long, long trail. And I'm so proud of the young people that are behind me in this, on the government side. The young MPs have joined us. Because it means we have continuity. We have continuity. We're not a bunch of old people who are fossilized. And I ain't fossilized yet, so you don't worry about it. But Mr. Speaker, this budget, I've heard people talk about, you know, nothing here for the poor people. And I see the MP, what's her name, Femi, she made a very funny comment, which I must respond to. She said, government side can't know what poverty is, as we all live in mansions, etc. And I thought, I was very bewildered by that. Because there's a member of this House who lives in a palace, and it ain't on the government side, and who purchased in the last few months, or acquired 25 vehicles since we started this year, and who has a fleet of vehicles from before. So no one in the government has a mansion, nor those a number of vehicles. And so you must know, unless maybe you haven't been, maybe you've been invited to visit the palace. I hope you get an invitation so you can see for yourself. Mr. Speaker, the visuals of this country, and even if your heart is hard, when you see the Demerara Harbour Bridge, when you go down the roads, when life is easier for our people. But Mr. Speaker, the issue of, a number of people have said on this floor and on the social media from the different parties, the opposition parties. T. Mohammed has said, both on the floor and out in the social media, it's sad that the government has chosen not to prioritize the people at such a critical time when 58% of Guyanese live in poverty and the cost of living has skyrocketed. APNU comes with the same line, and in fact, by the way, APNU and WIN have a lot of common themes. Although they say they're different, there is convergence of the views of APNU and AFC. Convergence. So don't think they're two separate parties. They're the same. They're just wearing different colors, that's all. One is going to be a has-been, and one thinks they're Johnny come lately. They'll both be tested by the people of this country and tested over the next 5 years. But Mr. Speaker, this 58% that's been quoted, when you got a little bit of knowledge and you don't do your homework, you can flash numbers around as if you were the most knowledgeable person. First of all, it's using a report that dates to 2022 and data on COVID time. But all of those who quoted the 58% on both sides, both opposition sides, didn't read the report properly. You just read the figure and said, got them now. There's 58%. Isn't that so? Right, Jurata? Isn't that what you did? The issue is that, Mr. Speaker, let us look at the indicators of poverty. What are used as indicators of poverty? And let's see if your argument's right. One of the indicators is access to electricity. Between 1992 and now, the majority of people either have access to solar or to electricity. And so access is about it. The issue of access to water. Mr. Speaker, in 92, Georgetown, I'm not even going outside of Georgetown. You had to fetch water up and down. You had to fetch water from a mile away. The water was dirty, and yes, there were worms in it. Today, 90% of the population of Guyana have access to clean water and potable water. Villages that never had water before, water systems that will drink from the river, including where Honourable Member Ms. Hastings comes from. Who put in the water system in Camarang? Is the PPP government in the last government. And yet she did nothing about no water in Camarang. She didn't admit that. But I know the Honourable Member does not go home very often. She's mostly in Georgetown.
We love you, Gail. We love you.
I know, thank you, my dear. I love you too when you behave. Mr. Speaker, the other indicators, if you'll allow me, is social capital. You know, how do you judge the accumulation of wealth, of people's ability to purchase, to use their money to purchase? So I said, access to services, health and education, water, electricity. But there's some other areas which are used. For example, in some countries, how many televisions, how many laptops, how many computers? Well, I'm going to bring two to you to Guyana. The number of vehicles and types of vehicles purchased between 2021 and 2025. Mr. Speaker, this is an indication of people having more ability to spend, to buy. So when I compare it with the 2015 and 2020 figures, there's a vast difference, a major difference. But let's just experiment with this. Hear me out. The number of cars that were purchased in Guyana between 2021 and 2025, that totaled up to 80,551. 80,551 in 2021 to 2025. So when people talk about it's only your friends and your cronies and PPP people benefiting, you mean these 80,000 is all PPP people? Really? All the people driving on the road with them cars? Because you know why this happened? When the APNU was here, they stopped the cars being older than 8 years old. Isn't that right? They put more taxes on it, and so people didn't buy. So when you look at the figures of 2015 to 2020, it reflects a reaction to the taxes and ability to buy. Because in the meantime, 30,000 people lost their jobs in that period. And that was before COVID. 7,000 which were sugar workers. So that's cars. Let's go to lorries. So cars is no longer in the 2025 period, 2026. Cars in my day growing up as a child was a luxury. Only the rich could have it. Right, David? Osborne? And
I was listening to you, Comrade.
thank you very much, David. And some honourable member. So cars were luxuries. Up to 15 years ago, cars were luxuries. Up to 10 years ago, cars were luxuries. Let me give an example, and I ask my staff to forgive me. When the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, I give them as an example, the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance Reform, there were two cars, my car as a minister and my secretary's car. 4 years later, with 22 staff, we have 4 people who don't have a car, of the 22. And of that 20, the 4, 2 are motorcycles. You have to appreciate what is going on in the society. You close your eyes. But you have to appreciate what is happening to our people. Our people are getting opportunities. The taxes are relieved. We're not putting taxes on. We're giving people space. Not like it was when the PNC, who had the state control the economy, not when we went through all these period of 92 right up to 2011 to deal with debt and not having enough money, and this was long before oil came in. Mr. Speaker, lorries. Imagine, what do lorries represent? We have between 21 and 2025, 16,748. More business, more activities, more movement of materials, more, whether it's farm products or sand or materials or whatever. That's reflection. In the period of 2015 to 2020, it was approximately 4,000. So we have 16,000 lorries being bought in this period and licensed. Pickups. Pickups are used in construction, a whole range of things. Again, the period 2021 to 2025, 8,101. Excavators, again, an indication of activity, economic activity, drainage, roads, airstrips, buildings. This was 2021, 2025, 3,280. Again, indication of economic activities. Tractors, indicator of agricultural activities, 2,666 in the same period. Tractors, 2,388 in the same period. These are indicators that are used in terms of social capital to look at the level of poverty in a country. Do people have the power, the ability to purchase, to get loans, to do these things? The example of the vehicles is an example. Yes, I see Mr. Vines talking about traffic and strain and stress. He lived in the United States for the last 40-odd years. He must know what strain and stress is, particularly for a black man in the United States. He must know that. Mr. Speaker, let me go to the next area of what you call indicators. And this is the issue of the internet. Again, and cell phones. And cell phones. These are another indicator. If you look at the same report, I'll quote in a 58%. They don't have figures on Guyana. They admitted in the report that the reports for Venezuela and Guyana, they went back to old data. But still, you come out and parade 58%. I want to remind you, in 92, the World Bank report did a report on Guyana's poverty. We were 61% of our people lived below the poverty line. And in those days, it was $1 US a day. So be careful, be careful. When you get to be so opportunistic, anything that makes Guyana look bad, you jump on. It'll come back and haunt you. Mobile subscribers. Between 2015 and 2020, there were 652,338 subscribers. This was 98,000, total difference between 2015 and 2020 was 98,819 more cell phone users. Between 2021 and 2025, the number of cell phone subscribers went up to 1,012,305, a difference in 2021 to 2025 of 313,498 subscribers in between 2021 and 2025. Where are people finding the money from? I remember in the Parliament quite a while ago when we were talking about some of the changes. An MP from the opposition side, of course, APNO and PNC in that day, said it's drug money. When we were advocating the housing program, we were told, all them people who get them house lot is drug people. What a level of disrespect that ordinary Guyanese and Guyanese cannot respectfully and honestly get a house at and build. I want to remind the opposition, I deal with you as a combined opposition, because as far as I'm concerned, there's no difference in your views, really. The issue is that I've heard comments said that, oh, we didn't have money, we didn't have oil money when they were in government with 2015 to 2020. I want to remind them, when they won the government in 2015 to 2020, but they didn't win it up to after December 2018, of course, because of no confidence motion. But they took, the government that was left in their hands had $783 million US in foreign currency reserves to cover the 3 months and more of Guyana's foreign currency reserves. And $13 billion in the gold reserves. In 2020, when they were out and you check the books, that 783 million went down to 300 million. Where the money gone? Where it gone? And then you had the gold account. Our gold reserves, $13 billion. Went from $13 billion to $2 billion because they sold the gold in huge batches at the lowest price at the time. That is the level of financial, what you call it, intelligence? Is that what you call it, Vikram? And so, the issue of saying to us, oh, we didn't have money. You had money. You had money. But what you did with it did not benefit the people of this country. You know, something about the People's Progressive Party that you don't understand, and you will only understand if you read. Don't understand if you read. Not like all the noise, nuisance you have in your ears and the social media. Read. Go back to documents. These documents refer to are publicly available in a hide in someone's desk drawer. Go and read the Guyana reports to the international bodies. Go and read the Guyana reports and the reviews that are before the human rights body and the anti-corruption bodies. Read, and then come back with your arguments. Instead of anecdotes and emotionalism. If you think that's going to get you far as a politician, good luck. Mr. Speaker, we have talked, I hear people say, this is not for poor people, this is not for people centered and so on. You know, the PPP is a party that's 76 years this year. And from the beginning, when our first government in 1953, right through when we came back again in 1992, we're the longest opposition party in the world to come back and win government. And we're proud of that. We led this country responsibly. We didn't allow this country to go into civil war because it could have. Things were horrible, unbearable. And so, the level of tension, some of you don't know about death squad and what happened to people with the death squads. You got to learn about your country, learn about the trials and tribulations of our country, and that is why where we are today is so important. It is so important because the traverse we went, the path we went, was so horrible. And I am so proud that the young people of this country, the children of this country, don't have to go through what we had to go through and the younger children had to go through all those years. I am happy that we in the government have brought free education, scholarships, books, internet, smart studies, cash care grants. I am proud because we have care. You can belittle the amount. I remember Valda Lawrence, as former MP, when we brought the cash care program for the first time, 2012, 2013, said, oh, it's miserly. It's too miserly. But that's all the money we had. And then, 2015, in government, she's a minister. Abandon it. The people of the children of this country were denied for 5 years billions of dollars that could have gone to their homes to help them deal with their lives and their parents' lives. Mr. Speaker, you know, my comrades here on this side have spoken very well and presented many arguments. And at this time, we try to mop up, as they say, to try to pull all the threads together. But, Mr. Speaker, when we look at the indicators of poverty, I advise you, you know, there's something in the budget book. They're the indicators at the back. Have you read that? If you look at the back of the book, you have indicators. And under the indicator of gross national disposable income at current purchase price, the Guyanese have $24,023 US. This is a big difference from when it was less than $2,000 30 odd years ago. And so we have to measure where we come from and where we are, and where still we have to go. No one is saying on this side of the house, we've solved all the problems. We're not saying that. We're saying that consistently, constantly, sustainably, we're moving this country forward. In the last 5 years, this country has done a trajectory never seen before, and has never experienced this before in all its years of independence. We come to celebrate the 60th anniversary this year of independence, and it will be one that allows us as a people to have this pride of nation, that where we are today, because at no other time, unless in the last 5 years, and now, has this country gone through what it's going through on. Not once. Not under the British, not when we became independent, never. And so, you go, MPs, go to your book at the back, where we have about the purchasing power, where we have about the rates of exchange, and about inflation of 2.5%, where we talk about the issue of health and education, where we talk about the number of children who have been immunized. And just to go back to indicators of poverty, Mr. Speaker, we take for granted a lot of things. So, can you imagine if people had to pay for the public health services for vaccination of the children? As in many countries, they have to if they have insurance. And if they don't have insurance, they do without it. Mr. Hines knows that well. He's from that country. He knows. 40 million people in that country have no access to health services. But gynaes receive vaccines, not only children, as it used to be in the past, but adults, the papillomavirus, the flu virus, and all these things, HIV, AIDS, multi-drug treatment, chemotherapy drug treatment, free. And therefore, when you talk about ability of people and what is the level of poverty, the IMF and World Bank in 1994-95 said to Guyana, you want loans for health and education? They said, well, if you want loans, you got to have cost recovery in health and education. And the government of Chad, led by Cheddi Jagan, said, absolutely not. We will not. And we have not, up to this year, decades later, we have not introduced cost recovery in the public health system, nor in the educational system. The housing system, when we started in 1994 to look at houses and how would we have a housing program, no houses had been built for over 10 years in Guyana. And we came up with this scheme. Cheddi went and did his thing with the IMF and World Bank. And they said, no. We can't give you loans unless you sell those house lots at market price. And we said, no, we can't do that. And up to today, from 1996 to now, our house lot program is subsidized by the government. Nobody pays the market price for it.
That's right. Let them do. That's right.
When you take the package of services, you can't just look at, oh, it's 5,000 more for this, and 5,000 is now can't feed nobody. That is such narrow intellectual assessments that, is a level of bankruptcy. Seriously, mental bankruptcy. Because you have to look at the totality. A child is born in a public hospital, free. In the United States, how much to pay for a child to be born in a hospital? About 20,000 US, if you got insurance. Our children are born free. They get their vaccines free. They get their school things free. We have the House Lot program, which allows people to have a future. And to get the issue of, let's go to housing. Let me just show you some stats on housing. Because if you had to look at some of our reports internationally, you would have found these statistics. And they're available online. But let's go to that. Online or underline? Mr. Speaker, 85% of the Ministry of Housing Home Improvement Subsidy went to women. 85%. 65% of the core homes have been allocated to women. 46% of house lots were allocated to women alone. Let's take that data. Let's take that data alone. When a woman who's a single parent, whether the granny, the biological mother, or some cousin taking care of the children, when that woman has a house lot and she's able to build a house, this is one of the most powerful things to her.
Yep.
She has collateral for the first time.
Ownership.
She has dignity. She has the ability to take that and to build on it. I remember years ago when we started the program, and there was a guard, a female guard, and she got her house lot, and she was so excited she brought me her receipt to show me she paid up, and she showed me the transport. And she said, "Minister, the thing in me name. No man can put me out of my house now. I can put he out. He misbehave, he won't beat me outside because I own the property now." It wasn't just about it. The issue of owning your own home is one of the most enlivening, the most dignified and most powerful emotions for people. And for poor people, this opens opportunities you cannot believe. And that is why the Development Bank, the concessional funds to do with house lots and building houses, is so important to bring people out of poverty. We're not saying there's no poverty in Guyana, but we're saying your 58% is opportunist and totally incorrect. But when people can live in a clean environment, not in squatted areas, not in Y yards, not in bad conditions, the level, the culture that develops of thrift, of this is yours, so you take care of it, so you don't want garbage thrown around it, there are social consequences. When a woman owns a house lot, her level of empowerment is enormous. And so this issue of domestic violence and sexual violence, you will see the social changes that will take place when this issue of reduction of poverty, reduction of people being vulnerable, that many women have had to be with men who abuse them and beat them. And we know about it in this house too, don't we? That they have the power to be free for the first time and to set their lives back on a course that is developmental. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister, I guess because you and I are in the same age range, I got caught up with reminiscing. But you're way over that time. I wouldn't tell you how much time you have left.
Okay, just give me my last comments, my last wrap up. Oh, did they? Mr. Speaker.
Take an hour of my time, Comrade Gale.
Gail wants to talk for 1 hour more, sir.
Take an hour of my time.
Entitled to it.
Yes, she is.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, she has. Yes. Take an hour of my time. Take an hour of my time.
Mr.
Minister,
Mr.
let me
Speaker.
just remind some of the younger MPs that you were the Commonwealth recipient for your outstanding parliamentary service.
That's right. The CPA.
And he helped collect your award. Yes.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I encourage the MPs to look at the national population and housing census. You'll get an idea of also the challenges that the population has grown. You now have reached the million mark, and therefore, when you see increases in education, health, and housing and all, it has to reflect and take care of that increase in population, because we've been working on using the old census figures for a long time. And so this closing the gap between what are statistically proven documents and also what we serve the people with. And so this, with a larger population, there's greater stress on your budget, on what you do and how you relate to people. And so I encourage you to look at that. It has the regional breakdown. It has also the household breakdown. So although we have larger population, we have smaller households, which means more and more people need houses. Because when it was 10 people in a house, 8 people in a house, now it's more nuclearized, I call it a nuclear family, that you now have averages. But you still have, in the population census, the fact that the indigenous population of Guyana is the fastest growing ethnic group in the whole country. And we have to take that into consideration in terms of services that are offered and expansion of services and diversification. That population has grown from 5% in 1992 to what is probably 12% now. So I encourage you to read, study. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, is, look, I've heard the comments about pensioners. And the issue of it's measly and stuff like that. Mr. Speaker, I've done some calculation. I'm not a great mathematician, but I think I'm better than a few in this House. So if we calculate the annual old age pension per person, that's of that age group, plus we add the $100,000 and water and electricity subsidy. For example, for pensioners, their pension stipend is equivalent to $2,833 US per annum. The 100,000 is approximately 462 US dollars. Therefore, over $3,000, 3,000 odd to 200 odd, go in terms of pensioners receiving on an annual basis. If you add on water and electricity subsidy, and that is based on the fact of whether the person, the pensioner, has their name on the bill for electricity or water. That's how it's done. And so, when we look at that versus other countries, this is a non-contributing scheme, eligible to all Guyanese, including those who lived in Guyana and live abroad, who come home to collect their money, because things rough in some of them countries now too. And so we mustn't belittle, because the same pensioners, just like the children, they will get health care, they will get their health care free, they can get their medicine free, including dialysis if those who are serious and need dialysis, those who have cardiac issues, those who have cancer. This is the things, and including, so we have to calculate. And in the budget, there's talk about homes and elderly care, that at-home care for the elderly. This is important. Elderly don't want to necessarily go into a home, assisted home. They want to be in their own house or with their family. And so that whole program of training people to care for the elderly at home is a very important intervention. And all that's calculated. So that, Mr. Speaker, when I hear that, I get really angry when I hear about this, is nothing there, is 58%. I get upset because it's not real, it's not true. I'm not saying there's no poverty. There is. There are gaps we have to close. We have regularized squatting areas. We have given people new places to go. But some people create squatting areas, so some of them plan. Some I know were encouraged politically to create squatting areas, so the government come under pressure and then they can give you the house lots. They're going to put us on the faster track for the applications. And there are others who create squatting areas who generally don't have any other choice. But there are also those who rent the house lots they've got, the houses they've got from government, and they live in a squatting area so they can get money. And these are things that are interesting, ways in which Guyanese address their social circumstances. You can talk about domestic violence and sexual violence and child abuse. And we as a people have to deal with these social problems. The level of alcohol use, the level of drug use. These are things we have to look at. But that's not, and in no theory or book you look at, it is ever put on government alone. Government has to bring measures to try to facilitate, to assist, to put money into things. But in most countries, it is a combination of government, private sector, religious bodies, civil society, to try to deal with the social problems at especially the community level. And if there is anything I think that your party should look at, is in what way to engage on those issues. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2026 is more than a sum of investments and measures. It expresses a vision for Guyana, where a dynamic economy is paired with social progress, where infrastructure development is paired with human development, and where the benefits of growth reach citizens in every region. It is a people-centered budget in the truest form, one that protects the vulnerable, empowers families, supports workers, strengthens community, and reinforces Guyana's emerging role as a regional leader in sustainable rights development. All the things I've referred to in this speech is rights-based, by the way. Talk about access to health, access to education, all these things. These are human rights-based. And therefore, this approach to people first, people-centered, in the 92 was called pro-poor, pro-growth. All these things we've been doing to enhance and strengthen the democracy of Guyana, to make this country one in which we are all equal and we can all have opportunities. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I close. This is my last lick, as they say. This is my last lick, if you will allow me.
No, keep going.
This, for me, this is Guyana's golden era. This is our golden era. And we have really had a hard road to reach here. But in the last 5 years, it's unrecognizable. It is time for all Guyanese to capitalize on the opportunities available and experience how development can be personal, measurable, and centered on our own dignity as human beings, irrespective of our diverse perspectives and ideologies. This government will continue to put our people first, as we've done from 92 to now, when we had no money, and now when we have oil money. We will deliver policies and programs that uplift our citizens, strengthen our institutions, and secure a bright future for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much.